So I wanted to share with you some details of the hobbies that I have done over the years and how those hobbies have given me some amazing access to experiences. One of my hobbies was brewing. When I was younger, teenager, I used to brew beer, and then a few years ago I decided to have a go at brewing some cider because we had apple trees in the garden. Now, I'm going to make this quite a short story about the apple brewing experience, but what it actually led to is to an apple fest in our village that we ran 3 times and raised over £7,000 for the village hall and some money for the church as well. And we got people in the village to rally round and to help. People were baking cakes, people were helping to brew the cider, and we didn't sell the cider, we gave it away because we didn't have a license to sell it. But people spent money on a raffle, and it was just a wonderful community event. And that was born out of my interest in brewing, in making cider, because I had some apples in the garden. And also I got interested from the brewing of cider, I got interested in fermenting. And that led me into making things like kefir and also making cheese. Now when I say making cheese, I really do mean making cheese. I actually made quite a few batches of Roquefort blue cheese, and I experimented with other cheeses, Gouda and things like that. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And I was just fascinated about the whole art and science, because it is an art and a science, is cheese making. I have total respect for cheesemakers. The amount of energy and effort and attention to detail that goes into cheese making is incredible. But what cheese making actually also helped me with is to broaden my horizons and the concentration that it takes to really to make cheese and to get the timings right. And I saw a TV programme, and it's amazing how things just turn up, don't they? It's on synchronicity, whatever you want to call it. But I was watching TV one night, and Rick Stein, the food writer, and well, he makes films and things like that about food. I think he's got a few restaurants as well. He was in Bologna in Italy, and he was visiting a number of, well, I guess businesses that are famous for the local traditional foods. And one of them was the Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, or Parmesan cheese as we might commonly know it. And he was there at the factory watching them birth the first cheeses of the day, as I think he called it. And I thought, wouldn't it be amazing to go there? And then he was at the Modena balsamic aceitio, where they make balsamic vinegar, and he also went to the prosciutto factory as well, where they process all the hams. And so I thought, wow, that could be a holiday. So I organised things for the next holiday for the family to go to Italy. And we were all down for it. It wasn't just me saying, oh, I want to do this, and everyone else having to go along with it. It was a food holiday, and it was one of the best holidays that we've had. And we actually followed in Rick Stein's footsteps, and we went to all 3 of those factories to watch the Parmigiano Reggiano, to be correct, to watch that cheese being made. I think it was about 7:30 a.m. in the morning. To watch it being made was just incredible, because there was no use of thermometers. The artisans there, they were using their own instinct to say when it was ready for cutting the curds, when it was ready for collecting the curds up in the muslin cloth. It was just fabulous to watch. And I just thought that enrichment came from my interest and my enthusiasm for brewing, for fermenting, only a few weeks ago I made some more sauerkraut out of cabbage, and to eat the food that you've made yourself, to eat the cheese that I'd made, was just a wonderful experience. Now, I stopped making cheese after about 3 years because it was so much work, and my business was getting busy, and I wanted to take one day off a week to go fishing with my son, and I realised I just wasn't having the time to commit to it. And so I stopped doing it because it wasn't just making the cheese, it was about turning it every day. It really was about attention to detail. And so the season of cheese making came and it went. I learnt so much. So when I see a cheese stall at a farmer's market and I look at the different cheeses, I have total respect for how much effort and energy and time and love has gone in to that produce. And I don't begrudge paying the price because there's no cheating cheese. When it comes to making cheese, there's no shortcut. And time is money and effort and love, and they deserve the money that they get for their produce. So that was cheese making. So brewing, cheese making. Now, recently I bought myself a flying camera, a drone as we might call it, and I've had so much fun using that. And when I'm out flying my drone, I am absolutely in the zone. I really am. You know, I'm looking at my handset so I can see what my drone is seeing. And being out here in the countryside, I mean, look at the environment I'm in here. I've got the river right next to me here. There's all the wildlife. There's the river, there's ships sailing up the river, big tankers sailing up the river. There's so many wonderful opportunities for cinematography and, well, experimenting. And so drone cinematography has become a real passion, and I love doing it when the weather is right for it, because I can't do it when it's raining or too damp, because, you know, there are very, very sensitive devices. So I've studied that, and I just did a small online course, but I realised that when I'm back home and I've got that footage and I'm editing it on my computer, that I am completely in the zone. I really am in the zone. I'm absolutely loving it. You just hear a couple of geese flying over here. Such wonderful sounds that they make. Other than that, it's quite silent. But yeah, so when I'm there at my computer and I'm taking the different bits of footage and I'm sort of piecing them together and I'm maybe choosing a little bit of music to go with it, I'm not thinking about anything other than what I'm actually doing. And that is the creative process. And it's just so wonderful to be lost in that space of creativity. And it isn't that that's what the hobby gives me. It's that when I'm focused on doing something like that and I'm loving what I'm doing, then it means that I'm dropping down out of my thinking into a more clearer, peaceful, present space. And that's what hobbies give us access to. Hobbies don't create that space. Hobbies simply quieten the mind, and they give us access to that spaciousness that is already there, that is always there for us to have access to. And that's refreshing to know. Sometimes people look at hobbies as being, I guess, a way of relaxing, and that's absolutely true. They might look at hobbies as a way of distraction, and that's true too. But when I think about all the hobbies that I've been doing over my life, and I've always been a hobbyist, then I realise that they also quiet my mind, and that when my mind goes quiet, that I drop into that space of, well, a space which is calm and present and gives me access to that creativity. Nothing's forced, nothing's manufactured. It's quite simply, I'm just getting into doing my hobby, I'm lost in the process, and by being lost in the process of that hobby, then I get access to that quiet space, that underlying peace, that nice feeling. It's hard to put it into words really, but another one of my hobbies is greenwood spoon carving, and I've mentioned this in another video. In fact, I'll link that video to the end of this video with an end screen. And greenwood spoon carving has opened my eyes to another wonderful craft. To take a piece of green wood, which is live wood, and then to start carving it into something that is quite beautiful and functional. Now, I call my spoons functional art. I mean, at the beginning they weren't very artful. They were a little bit rough, but gradually with time, with practice and with the right tools and patience and some good tuition, then those spoons now have become, well, I've become quite proud of what I create. I never know what the spoon is going to end up looking like. I don't work from a template. What I do is I take the wood, I get my axe and I start axing that billet down to something that resembles the shape of a spoon, and then I just lose myself in the process of carving it with a sharp knife or with a hook knife to get the bowl of the spoon carved out. And it is such a wonderful process, and I can spend hours and hours doing that. And the different woods give different opportunities. Some woods are a little bit more forgiving or softer than others. Some woods have amazing grain that really comes out when the spoon dries out. And when I've carved my spoons, and I've carved well over 100 now, I tend to give them away as gifts and to friends and to family, so that the pleasure that I've had in carving them now can be given to somebody else, so they can have the pleasure of using them. And I always say to people, if I give them one of my spoons, I'll say, use it. It's designed to be used. It's functional art, and enjoy it. And I've had some lovely comments from people. And then I started to decorate the spoons, a little bit of chip carving, where that's where you chip a little bit of wood out with a sharp knife, maybe a little diamond shape or a little triangle, or you might actually score something into the wood. They call that coal rosing. So you actually take the edge of a sharp knife and you might score a shape or a pattern in the wood, and then rub something into that gouge or whatever you want to call it, into that space. I use just ground coffee because it's dark and it just has a nice natural feel. Some people use turmeric and other things, and then just burnish it, and it just looks wonderful. It looks aged. It looks like it's been created a long time ago, but so much pleasure. So that's just a little bit of a window into my hobbies and what I see as being the value of hobbies. Because when we get to a certain age, then people might say to us, "Oh, you should get an hobby so you don't get bored." I don't actually know the meaning of that word, but so you don't get bored, or it'll give you something to do. It'll occupy you, almost like it's almost a pacifier or something. That's a misunderstanding of the real value of hobbies in my mind. Hobbies are real enrichment experiences. They give us access to opportunities like going on holiday and exploring something to do with our hobby, or to go to a festival like I go to Spoonfest every year, to be around other spoon carvers, and also to learn from the amazing teachers that turn up and give their time to teach some amazing skills. Now, I didn't even know that Spoonfest existed 4 years ago. I didn't even know that spoon carving really existed, and now I've immersed myself in it, I absolutely love it. Well, you can probably tell that by the way I'm talking about it, but it has opened up lots and lots of ideas and creative opportunities and an appreciation also of wood. Now, saying that the appreciation of wood, I actually know what, well, I'm not ashamed to say it, but I didn't really know what some trees were called, or whether they were hardwoods or softwoods. But it's made me appreciate a little bit more about nature. And so I can recognise trees by their leaves. And I can see whether a wood is particularly good for carving a spoon, or maybe something else. I have carved some cups as well. And yeah, it just opens up opportunities. It's an expansive experience, and it doesn't involve an awful lot of thinking once you get into it. It's more being in the zone, as we say, and just enjoying it. I mean, that is it. It is, yeah, a total immersion in pleasure. And that's got to be good for the soul, hasn't it? Have a great day.